What if the greatest war stories were not told from the trenches, but from the roaring skies and the deadly seas of Europe? Imagine pilots staring into storm clouds, knowing the next second could erase them. Picture naval officers trapped in steel tombs beneath freezing waters. These films capture that terror, that courage, that silence before impact. And the best part, you can stream them free, legally, right now. Number 10. The Cruel Sea, 1953. Released as a British masterpiece. The Cruel Sea was both a box office success and a national catharsis. It told the story of sailors fighting invisible enemies in the North Atlantic. No glamorous dogfights here, only exhaustion and despair as the crew of the HMS Compass Rose battled German U-boats and the merciless sea itself. It was a war film that rejected heroics and showed the psychological corrosion of command. The Ministry of Defense initially opposed several scenes, fearing they revealed classified naval operations. Director Charles Friend fought to keep them arguing. Truth was the only tribute worth paying. Production faced chaos filming on real ships, in storm conditions that injured several crew members. Jack Hawkins nearly drowned during one take, but insisted the scene stay. When it premiered, audiences were silent during the credits. Veterans wept. Critics called it the most honest war film ever made. Its haunting realism influenced later classics, from Das Boot to Greyhound. Today, it streams freely through the British Film Institute's collection and remains a stark reminder that courage often looks like fear, endured a second longer than expected. Number 9. Reach for the Sky, 1956. This film became Britain's answer to inspiration itself. Reach for the Sky told the true story of Douglas Bader, the legless pilot who returned to the cockpit and became an ace. Kenneth More's performance was magnetic, both proud and human. The film soared at the box office, but behind the triumph hid tension. The Air Ministry objected to scenes showing Bader defying authority. Producers were threatened with withdrawal of access to military aircraft. To stay authentic, director Lewis Gilbert shot secretly on RAF bases. The resulting realism electrified audiences. Yet some veterans accused the film of softening Bader's abrasive personality, while others found courage in his defiance. During editing, an entire sequence showing Bader's breakdown was cut after test screenings left viewers shaken. Those reels are still missing. Despite controversy, the film became a recruitment tool and an enduring morale piece shown in schools and hospitals for decades. Today, it can be watched free on several national archives across Europe. What remains unforgettable is not the flying, but the quiet moment when a man with no legs stands taller than the sky itself. Number 8. Sink the Bismarck, 1960. Few naval stories match the myth of the Bismarck, and this film turned it into legend. Sink the Bismarck was a taut British thriller filmed with documentary precision. It followed the desperate chase to destroy Germany's super battleship before it could cripple Allied convoys. The production faced secrecy barriers. The Admiralty demanded script approval and banned filming near active bases. Still, director Lewis Gilbert reconstructed events using declassified combat logs and model sequences shot at Pinewood Studios. The attention to technical detail stunned historians. But what truly shocked audiences was its human core, officers grappling with guilt as their decisions sent thousands to their deaths. Some countries censored the release for depicting the sinking too graphically. In West Germany, screenings were limited, fearing it reopened wartime wounds. But over time, the film gained new life-inspiring generations of naval historians and model builders. Today, it streams legally on public archives in the UK and Europe in high-definition restorations. The final line still resonates: "The sea is not cruel, men are." It remains one of cinema's purest portrayals of strategy, sacrifice, and the crushing weight of command. Number 7. The Dam Busters, 1955. The Dam Busters is more than a war film. It is an anthem of invention and sacrifice. Released in post-war Britain, it celebrated the audacious Operation Chastise, where Royal Air Force pilots used experimental bouncing bombs to destroy German dams. It became an instant classic, patriotic, precise, and deeply human. Audiences filled cinemas across Europe, cheering the impossible made real. But beneath that triumph lay unease. The British government initially resisted the production, fearing it revealed classified details about bomb design and flight tactics. Screenwriter R.C. Sheriff was forced to rewrite large sections under official supervision. The crew faced constant interference from the Air Ministry, which demanded technical secrecy even as they provided real Lancaster bombers for filming. Director Michael Anderson insisted on authenticity. The flight sequences were shot with real aircraft flown at low altitude over reservoirs in perilous conditions that terrified even the stunt pilots. During one take, a Lancaster barely cleared a ridge by a few feet. The resulting realism gave the film its haunting power. Yet its release stirred international debate. Some German critics called it propaganda. Others praised its fairness for acknowledging civilian casualties. Over decades, it grew beyond controversy. The film became a training reference for aviators and a symbol of teamwork under pressure. Its theme music became part of national identity, echoing during sporting events and memorials alike. Today, The Dam Busters can be streamed legally through several European archives, including the British Film Institute's free library. It remains timeless because it captures something no modern war film dares: the moral cost of victory. Beneath its precision and pride beats a quiet question that still lingers in the night sky: was the price of innovation worth the human toll? Number 6. Battle of Britain, 1969. Battle of Britain was not just a movie, it was a national reconstruction project disguised as cinema. Directed by Guy Hamilton, it was an enormous international production designed to immortalize the struggle for air supremacy over England in 1940. The cast read like a roll call of legends: Michael Caine, Laurence Olivier, and Christopher Plummer. Critics hailed it as one of the most authentic depictions of aerial warfare ever filmed. Yet few knew the chaos behind its creation. Real Spitfires and Messerschmitts were used, many borrowed from museums or private collectors. Pilots flew without digital aids, recreating the original maneuvers with terrifying realism. One crash during filming destroyed a priceless aircraft and almost cost a life. Insurance companies refused further coverage, forcing the production to continue under military supervision. The Spanish government allowed filming with authentic German aircraft from Franco's leftover squadrons, but insisted their insignias be removed. This sparked heated debate among historians and veterans who argued the film diluted historical accuracy for diplomacy. The British press, meanwhile, attacked the film's high budget, calling it wasteful nostalgia. Despite mixed reviews, the film endured. Its air combat sequences became study material for directors from George Lucas to Christopher Nolan. Many of the sound effects recorded for it were reused in later war epics. Today, it streams freely through European public platforms. What remains powerful is not the spectacle, but the silence, the moments between combat when men waited for orders that could end their lives. Battle of Britain reminds viewers that courage is not found in victory, but in the act of standing one more time after the sky itself has fallen. Number 5. The Blue Max, 1966. The Blue Max dared to show war as obsession rather than duty. Set during the First World War, it followed a German pilot's ruthless climb toward glory in the skies. George Peppard's cold performance captured ambition, stripped of honor. Audiences were divided. Some admired its beauty, others recoiled at its cynicism. Production was massive, filmed in Ireland, using dozens of replica biplanes. Director John Guillermin insisted every stunt be real. Pilots performed deadly loops and dives without safety rigs. One tragic accident destroyed an aircraft, though no lives were lost. Fox executives panicked, fearing bad publicity, and ordered filming moved to safer ground. Censors across Europe hesitated. The film's portrayal of German officers as vain and reckless drew criticism. France banned early screenings, calling it anti-human. Even Germany delayed release. But critics later praised its visual poetry. The skies were filmed like stained glass, turning battle into ballet. Behind the camera tempers flared. Peppard's clashes with Guillermin became legendary. The crew nicknamed him the Iron Eagle for refusing direction, yet that defiance gave the film its power. Its flight scenes still rank among the finest ever captured on film, long before CGI could fake danger. The Blue Max was later rediscovered by aviation enthusiasts who hailed it as a forgotten masterpiece. Its influence is visible in films like Top Gun and Dunkirk, where ambition and mortality intertwine. Today, it can be streamed legally on several European archives. In the end, it is not about winning medals. It is about what a man loses chasing one. The Blue Max reminds us that in war, the sky belongs not to heroes, but to ghosts. Number 4. The Enemy Below, 1957. The Enemy Below stands as one of the most suspenseful underwater war dramas ever made. Set in the churning Atlantic, it follows the deadly duel between an American destroyer and a German U-boat. What made it remarkable was its perspective. It treated both commanders with equal humanity. There were no villains here, only men caught in a chess game of survival beneath the waves. When it premiered, it shocked audiences across Europe. Hollywood had rarely dared to show empathy for the enemy so soon after the war. Critics praised its intelligence, but censors in several nations, including France and Italy, worried it humanized the Germans too much. The film was briefly pulled from circulation in parts of Eastern Europe for presenting war as a moral contest rather than ideological struggle. Production itself was grueling. Director Dick Powell insisted the naval battle sequences be filmed at sea. The constant motion of the ship made cameras malfunction daily. Robert Mitchum reportedly filmed with fever, refusing to halt production. Actor Kurt Jürgens, who had actually served in the German Navy, brought eerie realism to his role as the U-boat captain. The film's ending, two weary adversaries saluting each other as their vessels sink, was both controversial and revolutionary. It suggested dignity could survive destruction. Some audiences found it too sentimental, others found it devastatingly honest. The Enemy Below went on to influence generations of filmmakers. It directly inspired the hit series Star Trek, with its theme of mutual respect between foes. Today, it streams legally on several archival platforms across Europe, its tension and sound design still unmatched. Watching it now feels like listening to the heartbeat of the ocean itself, a reminder that in war, empathy can be the final act of courage. Number 3. Aces High, 1976. Aces High is a film few remember, but no one forgets once seen. Based on the First World War stage play, Journey's End, it captures the youth, the fear, and the futility of aerial combat. Released quietly in Britain, it starred Malcolm McDowell as a young squadron leader already burned out by endless loss. Critics called it one of the bleakest anti-war films ever made. The film's realism came at a price. Shot on location in the Irish countryside using restored biplanes, it demanded dangerous aerial sequences. One plane crashed during filming, forcing the director Jack Gold to halt production for weeks. The pilots who survived insisted on finishing the work out of respect for those who had fallen both on and off screen. British censors initially feared its tone would harm recruitment efforts. The Air Ministry objected to scenes showing pilots drunk and terrified before missions. Producers were ordered to change dialogue that mocked high command, but refused. When released, the film was banned from several military academies and criticized for portraying officers as careless gamblers with human lives. Despite its commercial failure, Aces High found new life decades later when rediscovered by historians. Its honesty and melancholy struck a chord with audiences weary of glorified war stories. The performances, especially McDowell's haunted eyes, brought the reality of exhaustion to life. Today, it streams legally on European film archives and educational platforms. The film's aerial cinematography remains stunning even by modern standards. Aces High leaves viewers with a haunting truth: the higher men fly for pride, the farther they fall from innocence. Number 2, The Battle of the River Plate, 1956, produced by the legendary British team of Michael Powell and Emmerich Pressburger. The Battle of the River Plate dramatized one of the earliest naval clashes of the Second World War. The film recreated the pursuit of the German pocket battleship Graf Spee by British cruisers off the coast of South America. It was a critical and financial hit, but it carried undercurrents of Cold War politics. Powell and Pressburger faced immense pressure from both the British Admiralty and the Argentine government, where much of the film was shot. Argentina still remembered the real event vividly and objected to certain scenes that painted its neutrality as passive. At one point, the filmmakers were nearly expelled from the country after a diplomatic protest. Technical accuracy defined every frame. Real naval officers advised the actors, and genuine warships were borrowed for authenticity. Filming at sea was brutal. Cameras were destroyed by salt water, and several crew members suffered heat stroke during long days under the sun. Despite the obstacles, Powell refused to use miniatures, saying truth could not be faked. When it premiered, some audiences accused it of romanticizing naval combat. Others saw it as a study in honor restraint and international law at sea. The film eventually became part of military education programs and was praised by historians for its attention to ethical dilemmas in warfare. Today, it can be streamed legally through European classic cinema portals. What lingers is not the gunfire, but the silence of the captains when the shooting stops. The Battle of the River Plate remains a testament to moral strength over destruction, a rare war film where victory feels like loss. Number 1, Das Boot, 1981. Das Boot is not just a film, it is an experience of claustrophobia, despair, and the slow drowning of the human spirit. Directed by Wolfgang Petersen, this German epic redefined the war genre forever. Shot almost entirely inside a life-sized U-boat, it trapped both actors and audience inside a steel coffin where every breath felt borrowed. When released, it stunned the world. The film followed the crew of U-96, a German submarine struggling against Allied forces and the ocean itself. There were no heroes, no villains, just men suffocating in darkness, haunted by explosions above. Viewers had never seen war from this angle before, the point of view of the doomed. Critics called it revolutionary. Veterans wept during screenings, saying it captured the truth of service better than any propaganda could. But behind the success was turmoil. The German government worried it would reopen wounds from the war, portraying its soldiers as tragic victims. Some nationalist groups condemned it as unpatriotic. The cast endured real misery filming in confined sets that reached unbearable temperatures. Several actors fainted during scenes, and Petersen refused to call. Cut insisting realism mattered more than comfort. When released internationally, Das Boot was heavily cut for television. Censors trimmed sequences of terror and despair, fearing they were too disturbing. Years later, Petersen restored his director's cut, turning it into the definitive version now hailed as one of the greatest war films ever made. Its legacy echoes across decades, inspiring everything from submarine thrillers to modern video games. Today, it can be streamed legally through European film archives and public broadcasters. What makes Das Boot timeless is not the explosions, but the silence between them, the long, heavy pause before death, when men realize the ocean does not take sides. It simply swallows everything. These films remind us that courage often hides in fear, and survival sometimes feels like defeat. They show war not as glory, but as endurance in the face of chaos. Which of these European naval and air classics moved you most? Tell us in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe for more hidden war stories resurfaced from the depths of history.